Tawny Newsome and Justin Simien announced a collaboration for a new Star Trek comedy series. The show will be set in the 25th century. The Federation outsiders serving a gleaming resort planet find out their day-to-day exploits are being broadcast to the entire quadrant.
It sounds like it's going to be like a kind of riff on a reality show. This is interesting to me because we don't see too many instances where we have them represented watching television or that sort of thing in live action Trek. They've evolved beyond needing the television. So now this being broadcast means that there's cameras got to be everywhere watching them. And yeah, I think that it would be interesting if the planet were Risa.
You know, I'm open for anything, honestly. I mean, we had Lower Decks, and, you know, I have grown to like Lower Decks. I went both ways, but I've, you know, grown to accept and like Lower Decks. So I'm literally open to anything. So I think if any type of content, you know, look at how many times we talk about Doctor Who doing so many different types of genre, because it can go from horror to sci-fi to historical. So why can't Star Trek? Why can't Star Trek do something comedic? And does that not also add a layer of humanity? Because if all you get is drama, in a way that's a little bit depressing. And if you really want to think about it, as great a character as Data was, he was in a way on TNG for comic relief.
Have you got a cold?
A cold what?
To some extent. I mean, usually the comedy is thrown in there, which is how I like my Star Trek comedy to take place. But, you know, I'm open to it. I kind of feel in my bones I'm not going to like it. Let's see if it even gets made at this point. Who knows?
Right. I was going to say, we might be jumping ahead because, you know, they announce things and then they pull the plug on stuff so often that we might be getting ahead of ourselves. But with Tawny Newsome attached, and we know what kind of humor it's going to be. So you already established that in your mind. This wouldn't be mostly for us, I think, the hardcore. This is going to be to attract that new audience and then reel them in with this funny stuff and then maybe get them to watch some of the older stuff.
You know, we're assuming this is comedy for comedy's sake, but what if we did a Star Trek series a la Big Brother, let's say, where you have all of these aliens living in the house and they have the head of household, you know, the whole kit and caboodle, whether it is Survivor, whether it's Big Brother, whatever, Amazing Race, whatever the case may be. The comedy is, it's treated seriously, but the comedy is, it's these aliens, you know, it's these aliens, you know, from Star Trek in a scenario that's not Star Trek. And the comedy is not slapstick. The comedy comes from those characters or types of characters in what we consider reality TV settings.
Yeah, I can agree with that. As long as it's not slapstick, I think I can at least kind of be on board with it. Because I've seen too much in the other direction. I mean, even quite honestly, even something in the tone of an Orville or something like that might work well.
There's a series that's I always forget. I think it's on HBO Max called White Lotus. Have either of you ever watched?
Absolutely, yes.
That is what I would, if I were pitching this show, I would pitch it in that vein, like the White Lotus. It seems to take itself very seriously, but we are cracking up at the dark humor of it all.
But that goes as far as the spectrum goes. It is not your tweens and your 18, you know, right. 13 to 18. You're looking at your 35, you know, 20, 35 plus. It's definitely adult White Lotus, but I get it. Mm-hmm. I totally get what you're saying.
Tawny Newsome is what, 41?
Yes.
So I mean, to me, she's a young lady, but she's in that generation where they need to tap into that kind of raunchier humor, and I don't know why. This is something that's become the status quo for that age range, and if our assumptions are correct and it's set on Risa, that is the perfect setting for that type of stuff to go on, you know, and it just wouldn't be for a young audience.
It would definitely be salacious, to say the least.